And good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Most Important Conversations Meditations. We do these meditations Monday through Friday. The overarching theme of our meditations is liberation, specifically liberating oneself from your conditioning, from your learned conditioning, from all of the ways you were told and taught who to be, how to be, and why to be. Before each meditation, we have a short talk, and the content of those talks is derived from our core ontological program focused on liberation called Whole Life Architecture. Whole Life Architecture is a weekly interactive live remote workshop online where participants work together to step into their power in terms of liberating themselves from their conditioning and stepping into their power as a creator of their life, to create a life by design so they're no longer tolerating a life by default. If this interests you in any way and you'd like to learn more about our work, you can go to tmicglobal.com. We've been speaking the last couple days about paradigms. Paradigms are worldviews that all of us are always in one kind of paradigm or another. The only question is whether your paradigm is of your own design or whether it is learned. And there's a thing about paradigms that I'd like to deepen this morning, which is specifically around the role of beliefs in our paradigm. So our paradigm, as I said, is a worldview. It's the way we interpret the world. It's the lens through which we make sense and derive meaning out of the world. And in this way, our paradigm acts as a filter. It acts as a filter in terms of our perception, in terms of what data points our brain lets us be present to, what data points and information from the external world our brain determines is relevant, and those data points or experiences that our brain determines are irrelevant. Now, the weird thing about perception is our perception is so absolute and so real and so defining of our worldview and our paradigm that we tend to believe that our perception is the perception that everybody is experiencing, that everybody is perceiving, that we are all perceiving the same so-called absolute reality. Without realizing it, our perception is actually the thing that constitutes our reality, which makes it wholly subjective, that there is no objective reality that any of us have access to. And so our paradigm determines what our perceptual filter will allow in as relevant, because our paradigm is the equivalent of prior knowledge. It is the things that we believe we are right about. And one of the things we teach in whole life architecture is that you perceive what you believe. In other words, another way of putting it, whatever you believe, you will perceive. Whatever your underlying subconscious conditioned belief systems are, you will perceive that out in the world, and this will reinforce your worldview, your paradigm. Because the objective of our brain is not to challenge our worldview or even to grow our worldview. The objective of our brain is to reinforce our worldview, however small or expansive that view may be. And so our paradigm, which is somewhat constituted, among other things, but it includes our belief systems, our paradigm is reinforced by what we perceive. Our belief systems dictate what we perceive, and that perception recursively reinforces our paradigm, which reinforces our subconscious belief systems, which reinforces our perception of the subjective reality that we all mistake for being objective reality. And the cycle continues. This is why change is so challenging, and why the only way out of this conditioned loop, this Groundhog Day of worldviews, of paradigms, is to put ourselves intentionally into a discomforting situation that will require us effort to experience and be with new things, new experiences, new people, new situations, new points of view, new belief systems. And in so doing, we titrate or expand our own. So I know I've said a lot this morning, and I'd like to just pause for a second and let this digest. That whatever you're experiencing in your life, it is because the paradigm, which is the system and structures of your belief systems, of your perceptions, all of that is reinforcing of your experience of life, of your paradigm. So what you're experiencing in your life right now as absolute, as certain, is anything but. Someone else is having a totally different experience. That might sound obvious, but when you consider how impactful this is, consider, as I said yesterday, how often we as human beings will fight, even kill each other to ensure that our paradigm, our worldview, is considered the right one, the dominant one, the one that everyone agrees to adhere to. This is what wars are. Two nationalities who have different paradigms killing each other to enforce their paradigm over another. Two religious groups killing each other to enforce their worldview on another. It's not enough in our world to just acknowledge that people have different worldviews. That is apparent and obvious. What is important to acknowledge is that there is no access point to anything considered an objective, ultimate truth-based worldview. And yet everyone in their worldview, in their paradigm, believes theirs to be the truth. And this is the trap, because whatever you're trapped in owns you. Whatever you believe is the absolute truth, whatever you believe about your paradigm, your worldview as being the correct one, the right one, is a trap that keeps you small. It is your ceiling. It is the thing that will keep you from propelling yourself to further and further self-realization. In fact, you're nowhere near self-realization if you're in paradigm or worldview jail. As long as you think your worldview is the worldview or the correct worldview, or you have access to the objective reality, you are continuing to recursively put yourself in a trap. And this is the opposite of liberation. The reason in whole life architecture we spend so much time distinguishing the importance of perception, its relationship to beliefs, and its relationship to recursively recreating the paradigm over and over again that we learned when we were a child from our friends, family, and community, is because the awareness of the mechanism that has people perceptually trapped is half the battle. The other half is accepting that your worldview is a worldview, it's not absolute truth, and to begin to soften and let go of the areas in your life and the things in your life where you are trapped in what you are quote unquote right about. That rightness is keeping you small. That rightness is keeping you in a trap of your own making. You may not have put yourself there, but you choose every time you defend your worldview, you choose to keep yourself trapped at that moment. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't have beliefs. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't vociferously and ardently believe in what you believe in. It just means to always remember it's not the absolute truth, It's not the reality. It's not objective. It's simply your perception. And you can change your perception as a creator of your life by design at any time, should you choose. The problem we encounter, and after working with people for many, many years in whole life architecture, the problem we continue to encounter is that most people aren't even aware they have a choice of around their paradigm, to recreate their paradigm by recreating their beliefs, altering their perception, and therefore altering their experience of their reality. They don't believe they have a choice. In fact, most people aren't even aware they're in a paradigm or a worldview. That's the power of them. You feel as though you are experiencing life as it is in total objective reality. And you assume that everyone is experiencing and seeing and feeling the same things you are, and they are doing the same thing about you. And so this is the trap that all unliberated people find themselves in. Trapped in a worldview, trapped in a paradigm that they learned from their friends, family, and community, because their belief systems are so firmly ingrained since their youth. Their belief systems determine what they perceive, and what they perceive recursively reinforces their paradigm, their worldview, and the trap continues. So the invitation, as we move to our meditation this morning, is to inquire and to be curious. Where are you trapped? What defines the nature and qualities of your paradigm? What belief systems are supporting your paradigm in terms of you perceiving all of the evidence for your belief systems recursively over and over again in the world? You perceive what you believe you perceive, and what you perceive continues to support your worldview. Do you put yourself in situations that will challenge your belief systems? Do you put yourself in situations where you cannot perceive the same habituated experiences? Do you put yourself in situations where you are considered wrong by others who have a different worldview than you? And are you engaging in those kinds of interactions to nudge and titrate and challenge the edges of your reality? The more you do that, the more awake you become, the more compassionate you become, the more powerful you become, the more expansive you become, the more creative you will start to become. You will find that you are no longer attached to how life should be, and instead step into the possibility of how life could be, if you choose to create it that way. You get exposed to new ideas. You get exposed to innovation. Consider this morning how closed you are to anything that's not you or your paradigm. Where are you trapped? We're going to move into a watcher-observer meditation this morning, and I'd invite everyone to just consider that. In the background, softly to the side of your awareness, let that just be a thought in the background. Give your brain permission to just have that sitting there as you watch and observe your thoughts and emotions. The watcher and observer meditation is a training ground where we get the opportunity to develop our techniques in being watchers and observers of the world around us, including ourselves, being curious about ours and the behavior of others, where we don't have to chase our thoughts, where we don't have to be embroiled and become an emotional, unconscious, habituated reaction to every feeling we have. We get to learn how to be in the world but not of it. when we are practicing the watcher-observer meditation. For the next few minutes, be seated in a comfortable position and just allow your mind to be at ease. Allow your thoughts to move in and out of your awareness like clouds against a blue sky. As thoughts come into your awareness, which they will, because your brain thinks just like your heart beats. As those thoughts come in, acknowledge them and let them float by. Maybe you have thoughts of planning or anxiety or worry or even excitement and joy. Acknowledge them. Don't attend to them. Don't chase them. Just let them drift by. If you find yourself chasing one or being enrolled in a thought, give yourself the permission to acknowledge it, maybe even verbally, and just let it go. And the same with your emotions. You might find your emotions rising and falling. A thought comes into your mind, and emotion follows it. Acknowledge the emotion, feel it. Allow it to move through its natural cycle of about 90 seconds in and out of your awareness in your body. Don't attend to it, don't chase it, let the emotion go. And we'll continue doing this for a few minutes, and all the while in the back of your mind, give your higher self permission to inquire, to be curious. Where am I trapped in my paradigm? Where am I trapped in where I'm right? What belief systems are so sacred to me that I dare not entertain the possibility that they're not the objective, absolute truth, that they're just my beliefs? How might my belief systems influence what I perceive in the world, what I perceive as important, what I perceive is essential, is worth my time or not worth my time or energy? Do I judge people? Am I in judgment of people and situations? Like the watcher-observer, what can I let go? Have that in the back of your mind. Don't actively think about it, but just have it. Just have it there. And for the next few minutes, we will just practice being watchers and observers. And I'll see you all very shortly. And welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, reconnecting to the world without from the world within. And perhaps this morning you noted an area, maybe you got an insight of where you are falling into a trap of your rightness, falling into the trap of your perception, your worldview, your paradigm, falling into the trap of being closed off to the world, being closed off to what's possible, defending your rightness. If you had any insights around that this morning, if you had any insights that kind of popped up as you were just watching and observing, make sure you journal and note those down. And as you go about your day, try and stay connected to this openness where you're watching and observing. You're not getting enrolled and sucked into situations. Become almost like an experimenter, an archaeologist, someone who's curious about the life you've created, even unintentionally, and what about it aligns and what doesn't. Where do you find yourself trapped in what you're right about, even though you might know deep down, but maybe I'm not right. Maybe it's not about being right. Maybe it's about being open, being creative, connecting to what's possible. Not worrying if I'm getting the validation from others or not. See if you can stay in that open watcher-observer state and see how that leaves you as you go about your day. And stay curious to the role of paradigms, to the role of your worldview in defining everything about your experience. Not objectively, but subjectively. I want to wish you all a wonderful day, and we will continue our meditations tomorrow.